My soul fainteth for thy salvation. I have hoped in thy words. Mine eyes have failed in waiting for thy word, saying, when wilt thou comfort me? For I am become like a wineskin in the smoke, yet have I not forgotten thy statutes. How many are the days of thy servant? When wilt thou execute judgment on them that persecute me? Transgressors told me idle tales, but they are not like thy law, O Lord. All thy commandments or truth, they persecuted me wrongly. Help thou me. They had almost made an end of me upon the earth, but I forsook not thy commandments. Quicken me according to thy mercy, and I shall keep the testimonies of thy mouth. A wineskin in the smoke. What can one make of this analogy? What can one make of this analogy of faith? That's what it should be called. In 2014, I was having many difficulties with not only my home situation, but my church situation as well. I was transferring myself from one church to another, and my family wasn't okay with it. But I knew it was the correct direction for me to go. But my family kept on trying to step in the way. To make a long story short, the beginning of all this started in 2008 when my grandmother passed away from cancer. That was the beginning of my wineskin starting to crack and fray at the edges. It continued to do so because I allowed my family to judge me, persecute me in every way possible. Until in 2014, a good friend and campus pastor, Peter Gordon, sent me these verses and said, don't you think this is how your faith is right now? Look at it closely. Think about it. What happens to leather when it's in the elements? It can crack. It can dry up. It can become tattered, torn, saturated. And if all these things happen, how usable is it in the end? Well, not really. Faith can be the same way. It can be as simple as just a simple break that you can try to fix on your own with a little bit of God's help. Or it can be like mine, where it became complete shreds. And I had to ask God to help pick me up, which I'm still doing to this day. And it's all because of the fact that I allowed the people closest to me to judge me with how I acted, how I looked, my beliefs, my faith, where I was going to church. And I finally had to say, okay, no, you know what? I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be persecuted. I'm not going to allow myself to be judged. David had to do the same thing. Think of it this way. He was told idle tales by so many people that God either wasn't existing or he wasn't going to get the help that he needed or who knows what. My family tried to do the same thing with me. They tried to tell me idle tales that this church was the wrong place for me to go. And in that case, they actually were trying to draw me further away from God instead of closer. So I had to do it on my own. But I didn't do it alone. I did it through prayer. I did it through the consolation of good friends. Friends I knew I could trust, who I knew weren't going to hurt me. And that's when I realized, okay, God's not going to let me down. He's not going to. He's not like anybody else here on this earth. David says at another point in Psalm 119 that people were trying to remove him from the earth. They were trying to completely push him away from wherever it was that he was doing or where he was at. They were completely trying to push him away. And he cried out to God for help. And it's obvious that God did something because he managed to make it back to where he needed to be. And the people could do nothing about it. That's the same with me. It's the same with all of us, really. If you look at it from a perspective of everyone's faith is like that. We put this leather wineskin, we take it and we put it in through its paces, so to speak. We put it through life. And life, if you think about it, is the same as the elements of the weather. We have good days and we have bad days. We have sunny days and we have cloudy days. We have days where that wineskin becomes so saturated with whatever hurt we feel that we don't know if it's even going to be able to be fixable afterwards. Like I said before, it can be a simple crack or it can just be a full-on, how do I get this back together? But in the end, I started realizing, and I'm still working on that realization, that I can't allow my faith to become tattered. I can't allow it to become torn, because it's one of the things that keeps me close to God. And knowing that, I know that in the future, I can trust Him to help me not allow my faith to become like a wineskin in the smoke.